Hi everybody, this is Tandy Gutierrez, founder of Mat&kitchen.com, and this is my weekly vlog for our Wenomadwehappy.com blog. I have an online subscription-based business, so I create and shoot and post a fresh new workout every 3 days for my subscribers. There's tons of food, a food reset, anything health and wellness. I am a total wellness warrior, and I really believe in the self-care portion of things. So why am I doing these vlogs, right? Because they're not specifically about that. My family and I have decided to travel for the next 12 months with our 2 young boys, work as we travel all over the world. And we're sharing that experience with you. Part of it is because from my subscribers and friends and community base, they're all like, how are you gonna do this? Is that really gonna work? Like, what's the cost kind of, of it? And what's the experience? And just sharing it, right? So if you can't get out of your house to travel, right now, then maybe plan to do it. And if it's something you've always wanted to do, don't take the excuses and never do it, right? So it's really about a life lived out loud and planning and scheming and dreaming. This has been, 10 years in the process. So it's not like we just up and packed, although it may look or seem like that. We have been thinking about it for a long time and then really got serious about well, what does that really look like on paper and what is that budget really? And the shocking thing is that in some ways we save a lot by doing what we're doing. It's not a fit for everybody, but we're embarking on it. So I'm vlogging weekly to share the experience with you, mostly from the mama perspective, but also from the fitness and wellness perspective. So lots of topics in the mix here, right? So I'm sharing what I learned this week, but sometimes it needs a little bit of backstory. Number 1, I have 3 autoimmune disorders. That's just the way it is, right? 3 diseases. And I'm missing a thyroid. Nope, I didn't lose it. It was removed years ago. But part of embarking on this travel and feeling brave about the travel is about my health and wellness. So for the last 4 years in particular, but longer than that, but the last 4 really run home the healing through food. And in the States, I'm overly committed and aware of the food sources, and in our house only eating as much organic as we possibly can, as we can come across, and what we can afford, and only well cut, grass-fed or pasture raised animal proteins. And at home I'm very plant-based, but I do need that animal protein to keep my system stable and happy. I'm all about coaching people through cracking their own food code, finding what supports them. That no 2 systems are exactly alike. Now there are some hallmarks of oh, you probably fit in this category. Oh, you probably fit in that category. But I'm not about doing exactly what I do, but finding out what works best for you with there being these broad spectrums. So traveling was a little scary, and a couple years ago I wouldn't have done it because food was like my lifeline. And if I got contaminated food because of the celiac or things that had a lot of chemicals in it, I was sick and down for the count. So it was a big deal to make these travels and go, I'm not really sure what they're going to have there, and I know it's not going to be exactly the same, but how do we navigate? With some, information knowing that, in Europe that they don't allow GMOs in their food, and that the food sources are just tend to be much cleaner. They haven't done the things to their food sources that we've done in the States. So to our benefit, I'm finding that to be very true, which is amazing. So in the States, family of 4, 2 young boys, my husband and myself, and eating as clean as humanly possible. And I didn't used to share this a lot, but whatever. Our budget for food, because we were super committed to it, and it is my sustaining health piece at home, was in the range of $350 to $450 a week. Now we chose to do that. It was a long haul process, and we didn't do other things to do that. It was that important to us. Coming to Madrid has been fascinating because we're like, what's the budget going to be? What's the food going to be like? How is the grocery shopping going to go? This is our first week off of vacation. So for 2 weeks we had transition time that we were like, yeah, we're going to eat out. I'm going to throw a little bit of caution to the wind, try some things I wouldn't normally try at home because I'm not shooting consistently, and if I need to recover, I can. So this is week 1, in quotations, of real life. A budget for groceries. What does that really look like here? Cooking and eating mostly from home, packing things as we go, and not being out in the world. So far this week, we've spent 166 euros. Distinctly different. So there's a little bit of a conversion there. about $1.24 or $1.11 depending on the week. So it's a little more than that, but clearly it's half of what we spend at home. Have I run into major food issues here? No. Crazy. I did get sick the second week we were here, and I know it was a bacterial thing. I know exactly what it was, and I don't usually eat it. And again, I was throwing caution to the wind, and here you go. And I know distinctly the differences in what it feels like to be autoimmune tripped up versus a bacteria and like you're just plain old sick. So this has been crazy, right? Because there's just not the same farm-raised fish here. The animals are cleaner. They don't have the chemicals in their food sources, and you're not ingesting as much of the junk. So it's fascinating. There aren't as many greens when you go out to eat. That's more scarce for sure. It's definitely very meat and heavy oriented, meat and potatoes, but that can be very stable for a system for some of us too. In the grocery stores, they've got one of everything, and it's just a lot less expensive for much of it. So that's been the findings with food, which is just stunning to me. That being said, having autoimmune system and one that's more sensitive, and I'm still super healthy and the healthiest I've ever been, but this transition is kind of taking its toll. So some days I feel like a superstar, you know, and I've got my cape on, I'm total superhero, and I can walk 6 to 7 hours, you know, across the city with the kids, backpack full of food. And then eventually overexertion kind of kicks me in the tuchus, right? So today's my kick in the ass day. I woke up, felt totally hungover. That's what happens when I get kind of my autoimmune stuff, that tired, that I've been crying today because I'm so tired, you know, and you guys are like, oh, you're on camera, you seem fine. Yeah, well, I'm still a performer and I'm feeling good right now. So I want to share the good and the bad, right? It's not all easy breezy. It takes a lot of planning. And like my husband and I were talking about this morning, it's like, the outside social media part is like we're sharing it, and we are joyful and so grateful for this opportunity and this planning, and knowing that it takes work and planning, and that life is still hard, right? The years are short, but the days are long. And so the implementation of your dreams and being courageous and things you've waited for forever for, you kind of go, it's just regular life. We're still trying to get groceries. We've got 2 young kids who, you know, maybe cooped up a little bit because mom doesn't feel so great. And daddy who cut his work time short to let me have some alone time because I was napping quite a bit of today. And we're traveling in this great adventure. And guess what? I still have autoimmune diseases. And I still have to take care of it. And even though I'm excited and adventurous and want to see as much of the city as possible, a lovely reminder that I need to pace myself, that I am not invincible, and that my system personally is not used to this much walking. And so I have to fuel differently, and I've got to be hyper, you know, careful with my self-care, which I am, and you guys see that, and you see my posts, but also with the sleep. So I'm sharing the good and the bad. I also did something silly, and what I learned this week, and that could be a source of why I'm having a little bit of this trouble today, is that okay, so for 20 years, right, I've been lifting weights and exercising and fitness, and I've been in the fitness industry as my main source of income for over 15 years now. But for 20 years, I have gone into gyms all over the States, you know, to work out and to lift when I'm feeling good about it. So 2 days ago, I went in to lift, and I thought, I've got some time off. I have a hypermobile body, so lifting is very healthy for me to keep me, you know, the gel together. And I looked around and I scouted out like, okay, what can I do? This is what I usually do. They don't have this piece. They don't have kettlebells and the weights that I want to use. What can I do? I'm so used to navigating that on the fly. What my brain did not process was the conversion of kilograms to pounds. So I was doing things and I was like, why is this so heavy? Now I'm smart enough now at 38 to know, back off. Who knows why it feels heavy? Focus on your alignment, adjust your range of motion, drop your weight. So I did drop all of it, but I did do a set of stuff that was, you know, too much. Then left and went, oh crap. Yeah, that was not me being weak. That was totally different weight. And so it may have blown out my system a little bit. I'm very careful about sticking to my 30 minutes. I'm very careful about knowing what range I can work in without firing my autoimmune system. which is something I learned the very hard way. So today I'm going, is it something I ate? Did I just overexert myself? What's tripping me up? And I have to be aware of where those trip ups are in order to get well and to stay well and be able to continue this adventure. So things I learned this week. The weights in the gym are not labeled the same way or the same. But I was a little bit on autopilot. I'm human. 2, we learned about amazing food. 3, a little bit of a follow-up. So if you saw one of my first vlogs, I was talking about Epsom salts, right? That I'm a huge advocate of that too. And I didn't pack any because I wanted to see what we could find here. And that Epsom salts here are used as a laxative. They come in small bottles. They're kind of pricey. For a little bitty bottle, it's about, between $7 and $8 US dollars. But this week, what I did find, and I have communicated with people and nobody's been able to really tell me where to buy them in bulk yet, and they don't use them that way here very much. Somebody did suggest going to like a horse supply place because they use them for horses. I haven't done that yet. But I went to the vegan store, it was buying pink salt and looking at the pink salt going, that's like 2 cups of pink salt, right? It's not even $4 US dollars. It was, €3.30. And I thought, well, in the States, I buy pink salt to take a detox bath because I love it. And it's always my luxury treat, even in the bulk section, because it's still about $6 to $8 there. And I thought, well, I get an upgrade on my salts. Awesome. So needless to say, today I will be taking an Epsom salt bath in pink salts today. And that is less expensive and more of a treat because there's 82 or 83, depending on who, gives you the information, elements in those salts to soak in versus just the Epsom salts with just the one, element of magnesium sulfate. So learned lots of things this week, right? Life, always a learning process, and wanted to share it with you. So I will promptly go take a pink salt bath and go to bed. And it's like 5 o'clock here because that's what my system is telling me I need. So adventures come with their ups and downs, right? And so this one is a down day, and that's okay. And that's part of life, and part of what I teach is to listen to your body and go, it's not the end of the road when things don't feel very good. And it's been a long time since I felt this tired. But with everything we've been doing, it's, probably natural that is the course it's taking, right? We have a lot of packing, a lot of traveling, a lot of movement, a lot of excitement, a lot of adrenaline. And now we're coming into the down cycle of our trip and our travels. And I get to respond to that and go, oh, I don't usually walk 6 hours a day at home, up and down hill, carrying a backpack and sometimes a kid because he's tired. So I am sharing the good and the bad with you, and the good far outweighs the bad. So I'm gonna go take a nap. Thank you guys for checking in on us. If you do want to work out with me and see what my wellness programming is all about, Mat&kitchen.com. And if you want to track our travels, and the kids are going to be writing and posting there too, Wenomadwehappy.com. If you like what you're hearing, you think it's interesting, and you want to share it, please like and share them. It is about spreading good information and good people and love and positivity and, goal setting and dream reaching. Because if we don't support each other in it, it doesn't happen. So I want to support you all in what you do, and you all support what we do, and we feel that, and it's amazing. So thank you, and I will see you in my next blog post.